I think at the moment the challenge will be lack of information and knowledge. So it's really is the case of getting to speak to people to understand fully what the implications of the FMD directive is saying, understanding the timescales involved, and making sure that internally those companies review their processes and their systems so that they are ready to implement serialisation. Well, senior stakeholders often have other priorities and they're very busy people. So I think it's quite important that the business case is prepared internally and that it is thoroughly reviewed so that those stakeholders can become engaged. I think it's often underestimated how much time things take to be introduced, and if the companies need to sit down now and plan for the future, and the sooner they can do that, can understand the implications on them for their implementation, because they need resources, they need to budget, and they need to plan carefully. I think if you do it correctly, there needs to be very little impact on the operational performance. And actually often it's the case that actually by focusing on the performance, you actually can improve the operational performance. But serialisation has to be done properly. So if it's not done correctly, then it can have an impact. I think companies need to understand the reasons why serialisation is being introduced, and that in itself they must sort of understand that it isn't necessarily something they have to do, it's not an obligation, it's something that they ought to be doing to improve their own business processes. At the end of the day, what we're trying to achieve is better patient safety, and that's the reason why this is being introduced. I think it will be enormously successful. I think the key is to stay one step ahead of the counterfeiters, but also it will stop certain processes which aren't necessarily what we would like to see happening today. So it will tighten things up, you'll have a more robust supply chain, and we'll see great advantages from the introduction. I think the pharma company needs to talk to companies that are in the vanguard, who have already started to implement, and learn from their experience. Now, the way they can do that is to join a group such as the GS1 Healthcare User Group, where they will get that information from companies who have already started to implement.